So you will get 20 minutes for presentation, 20 minutes for questions and answers. I'm going to be the timekeeper today, so I'll let you know when you're getting close, okay?
Yeah.
As per statute, this is a public meeting. We're required by law to either record or to take minutes, so we elect to video everything, okay? So everything will be on file, all right? Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna open us up. We are here for JTA RFP P16, wait, no, not that one. P16021, bus stop maintenance. Today we have M&M Maintenance
Yes.
presenting. I'm Teresa Lynn, JTA Contracts and Procurement Manager.
Jackie Glass, Senior Manager, Contracts, Procurement and Inventory.
Joshua Gray, Transit Amenities Coordinator, JTA.
Ivan Mitchell, Planning.
And Ike Walker, Facility Manager.
Randy Brewer, Senior Manager of Maintenance.
Okay, just so you know, your evaluation committee is Randy, Ivan, and Josh.
All right.
If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
My name is Mia Baya, and I am an administrative assistant with M&M Maintenance.
Johnny?
My name is Carl Ransom. I'm supervisor.
I'm Malachi Villa, CEO of M&M Maintenance.
Okay. All right, I'm going to hit start. Go ahead.
All right, so thank you for the opportunity to come out and talk to you about M&M Maintenance and our request for proposal in terms of the services that we feel as though we're capable in offering. I want to focus our conversation around 3 areas in terms of what we offer, and that's experience. M&M Maintenance has been in business doing this type of work for well over 15 plus years. The quality of work that I think is required to maintain the contract to really do what we want to do, which is keep our city clean. You'll find that the quality of service that we offer is unparalleled to any other contractor that you may have heard from today. And last but certainly not least, we make sure that there are checks and balances. We maintain a system that's transparent so that you understand what's going on our end, and so that we're working to make sure that there's not one area or aspect of the city that's not being managed. So when we talk about experience, who M&M Maintenance is basically we're locally owned and operated. We have the benefit of having our CEO here with us today, and we've been in business since 1995. We're 100% minority owned, and we're a certified DBE. We bring 10 plus years of experience in bus stop maintenance and cleaning. So what that means is this very same contract, M&M Maintenance held for well over 10 years. So we're familiar with the routes, we're familiar with the expectations, we're familiar with what it takes to actually execute the quality of service that JTA is looking for. And, to kind of toot our own horn, we were part of a process that actually created and implemented the use of a tracking form that I'm not sure that you guys are still using it now, but at some point it was being utilized. So we get very proud of that as a service to JTA. Secondly, in terms of quality, quality is what gets the job done. Quality is what keeps the calls down. Quality is what keeps our city clean. So our approach to making sure that the quality is top-notch is first by utilizing environmentally friendly products. And it's a big deal, when we talk about pollution, toxins, and things of that nature. So when we talk about actually maintaining the bus shelters, cleaning, sanitizing, and even the insecticides, what you'll find is that we use 100% environmentally friendly products. The second thing as it relates to the service that we provide is the quality assurance. What we understand is that our goal, your goal, the city's goal is to make sure that our city is clean and that it is clean to a degree that it's presentable for not just the citizens but for the passengers that actually ride the city transit service. So what we propose to implement is what's called the Let Us Know campaign. The Let Us Know campaign basically employs everybody in the city of Jacksonville to take ownership and responsibility in terms of making sure that we're keeping our city clean. So the way that this would work is that at every bus shelter where there's actually a trash can, passengers are able to use their smart devices, and it can be a cell phone, it can be a smart pad, and they actually scan that QR code. So I asked you all if you had QR codes on your phone, so you could actually go ahead and scan that QR code. So if you're a passenger, I'm on 8th and Main, okay, so you know what, there's some things that's going on 8th and Main. So what they see is a form where they're actually able to input and to report. I'm sorry, I went too fast, I'm sorry. You got it?
I heard yours deep, Josh.
All right. So what I'd like for you guys to do is to go ahead and fill out that form. What that tells us in real time Where is the problem? What time is the problem occurring? What exactly is the condition of that particular site? And so as that information is being transmitted to us, no matter where a citizen may be in the city, in scanning that QR code, it lets us in real time actually report that data. So what you're looking at is where that data actually goes to. So did you all input some stuff on there? Okay.
Working on it.
I'll let y'all still.
So imagine, and you see here, it populated. So what that tells us, because we have our dispatch man 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, what that tells us is that at that particular site, whatever the conditions were, we need to dispatch somebody to have that particular area addressed within 3 hours. This is how we go about keeping the city clean. This is how we go about making sure that not just again, the passengers, but maybe the JTA bus drivers, maybe just people in the area, business owners, everybody can play a part in terms of accountability. So again, this is what lets us know in terms of what do we need to do. And like I said, within 3 hours, we dispatch somebody to the site. We have a running record of whatever reports have been made at that particular site. The great thing about capturing this type of data is that if you ever wanted to know where your problem areas are, if you ever wanted to know, well, what are some of the things that I may be seeing on the south side of Beach Boulevard? This can be exported into an Excel spreadsheet. And you can just aggregate it to look for whatever gaps or needs that may need to happen in terms of the services that, both us and JT offer. So when we talk about real-time reporting, to let us know, again, passengers, drivers, or residents, or even business owners, they actually take and report that information to us using that QR code. I get it. It's automatically dispatched to our maintenance team that has, will be utilizing smart tablets. And so what happens is there's a 3-hour response. We log that as what's called an emergency call out, because again, we want to know where are our problem areas. And because and you'll see in a second, because of the way that we actually propose manning the needs of the city, you'll see that, there's not a period in time where there's not someone in the field to actually make sure that we're responding to the needs of those service areas. So in terms of service, the scheduling of services, that's important. Jacksonville is a large city. We're 885 square miles, approximately 552 shelter stops. And in 16, I think you guys projected that over 3 million people will be riding the bus. So what that means for us as a potential contractor and partner with JTA is that we have to have a system that is systemic and that it's efficient. So you see, along with the Let Us Know campaign, that is what speaks to the efficiency of what we propose doing within the city. Our scheduling of services will look this way. So we broke the city up into quadrants. So you'll see that the north side, we have particular service days that's manned by a 3-man team. You'll notice that the west side has its designated proposal service days, the south side, and then of course downtown and the beaches area. So the idea is that because we employ the number of service teams that we employ, in addition to the Let Us Know campaign, there's not a period in time where there's not somebody actually out there in the field providing the services that the city needs. And so how do we make sure that there's transparency? How do we make sure that there's a checks and balances in terms of what we're doing and what the expectation is of JTA? We utilize what's called our maintenance portal. So each of our team members actually use a web-based Android tablet. So as they're going throughout the field, what happens is that they indicate exactly what's taking place. So for example, on this drop-down menu, I select where I am. I input a shelter number, the number of cans. I indicate the time. In this particular piece, the GPS time, this is important to us because we want to know where our people are and we want to know what they're doing and when it's being done. So the devices actually have GPS tracking where the field service rep will actually input that data there. And this little feature here lets us know they're able to actually take a picture of that site and attach that site to that particular entry. So again, what we understand is the range of services that's happening in real time. If there's any adverse conditions, once we receive information in terms of emergency call out, we input that information there as well. And then you'll see that there's a comment section that they can elaborate in terms of what the services are being needed or what the overall condition again of that site. For you all, what you're able to do is to access the reporting to this particular portal. So there's a weekly maintenance report that actually tells you exactly what has happened. This is what we propose to send to JTA on a weekly basis. We also propose that to give you guys administrative access to running these types of reports so that, again, you understand what's happening in the field, you understand what the needs are, and you understand where our people are. Because, again, I think in a partnership there has to be a certain level of transparency as well as accountability. And then, of course, the emergency call-out report is just another example of the different type of data that you're able to get from M&M Maintenance in terms of what we're doing. You know, how often are we needing to do it? And so that if we need to come back in a quarterly meeting and talk about making some adjustments to the system or attending to a particular area more often, we have the data to actually support. We have the data to support that. And again, that's used through what's called our maintenance portal. So in summary, why should you partner with us? Well, again, the experience, I think, is what sets us apart. You know, we have been in business for a very long time, but more specifically on this particular contract. So again, we're familiar with the requirements, we're familiar with the routing, we're familiar with what it takes to make this partnership successful. And then the quality of service. Again, along with the Let Us Know campaign and the maintenance portal, you know, there's 100% accountability, there's 100% transparency. It's real-time data where you always know exactly what's going on. We know what's going on so that we can provide those services in an efficient and timely manner. And again, the quality of service that you'll see in a partnership with M&M Maintenance, again, I think is what sets us apart. So at this time, I'd like to find out if you have any questions. I can field those.
I take it that you would be responsible for putting all of the QR codes and stuff at the bus stop.
Yep.
Where would you put that?
Why,
So
Why
that's
so?
a conversation we like to have. We've talked about in the MAP cases. We've also talked about a plexiglass placard that can be placed in the inside of the bus shelter. But I think it's a conversation that we just kind of talk about what's most feasible for JTA. Where do we think it's going to be most visible for the passengers to actually utilize that resource? But we're flexible in terms of what that would need to look like. But we have an idea about we would prefer to put them in the MAP cases, but you might not want them in the MAP cases. So again, you know, we're flexible in terms of what that would need to look like so that it's best utilized.
I think it's a great idea. I know that some of our customers out there think that some things are an issue when there's really not, and it could potentially lead to an inflated number of emergency call-outs, which is a little bit worrying to me. But it's something that I've had in my head that I've wanted to do, and I definitely like it. A follow-on to that, related to your maintenance portal, I've spent a good amount of time developing my own type of system. So I guess my question to you is I guess why should we utilize yours over something that we've already built in-house, and would you be willing to use our system?
We would, and so I can't speak to exactly what you've done to actually compare the two, but what we see the maintenance portal as a way to collect real-time data in terms of what's going on in the field, accountability on both our end and transparency for you guys. And so it just, again, it lets us know exactly where our people are, exactly what's going on at each and every stop, down to the GPS coordinates and the time of day that it's done. Because again, it's about making sure that it's a process that's systemic and it's efficient and it's, you know, it's getting done. I want to go back and real quick and just address what you mentioned about the Let Us Know, because we thought about, well, what about that person who, you know, it's not a real issue, it's a perceived issue, but they just scanning away and they just We know that and see that as a reality, which is why when we get it in real time, what they do is it's dispatched to the field, but they have the capability of actually taking pictures of that site. So the good thing about gathering data is that if you see a trend where we've gotten 6 emergency call-outs to this one site, pictures and time supports that it's not a real issue, then that's when we go back and we have some conversation about, well, how often are we going to the site? Do we need to go to the site more? That's the significance behind utilizing the maintenance portal so that we know, using the data, to support where we need to be within the city.
You mentioned something that was implemented at JTA. Is this what you were using here at JTA, or is
So
this,
now,
is this built upon
This,
what
it was
used?
built upon what was used, and this may precede your tenure at JTA. This was years ago.
Yeah.
You know, but we didn't have this kind of stuff, right? So we used paper and forms and things like that. So, so basically, it was a spreadsheet that we created that actually broke the city down into quadrants, and you'll see some remnants of that in the maintenance portal, because again, the idea was to be able to track what we're doing at each stop.
So the answer was, we had it on paper, we didn't have it.
No, that's the long answer. No.
I think Howard showed me some of that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting when I looked at your guys' proposal, because it falls very well in line with how I perceive the program kind of working. So, all right, that kind of addresses some of my questions there. Let's get into the other stuff.
Okay, so could you describe in greater detail your process for doing quality control?
So quality control, again, starts with the maintenance portal. It starts with weekly site visits. It's a part of looking at the Let Us Know campaign. That's the checks and balances system in terms of making sure that we know what goes on within the city when it's happening. We hold weekly meetings also, because again, you know, we have to, looking at the data that we collect, debriefing and finding out what needs to be done, where are the holes, particularly when we're looking at something like the Let Us Know. If we see that there is X amount of complaints at a particular location, and we want to make sure, go back and look at that schedule and make sure that it's being attended to. So the maintenance portal, the Let Us Know, the weekly meetings, internal meetings that we have, and we also in our proposal talked about setting a schedule where we actually sit down and just talk with you guys about performance, about data, about what the needs are, and about whatever changes need to happen within that time frame.
So that's kind of a follow-up to that. After, let's say your crew cleans, let's say 10 stops in a row, do you guys anticipate having somebody come after them to check each location? I guess what's your thought on it, how you guys are going to handle that?
Okay, so part of what they'll do at each stop is to take pictures.
Okay.
And so those pictures are a part of our database, and because that's being manned continuously and it's time and date stamped, so we use that as a moment of record as to what actually happened within that particular area. We also propose utilizing, I believe it was a Friday and a Saturday for those areas like downtown, because we've had the contract before. What we know is that downtown can be spick and span at 8:05, but at 12:20, you got a problem on your hands. So we, you know, have built in some things to kind of oversee those areas that we know are high traffic areas, and that being one of them.
Are you, Ms. Bachchan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Are you willing to negotiate pricing?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm gonna skip this question. You guys have already talked about that. So there's a number of instances where the frequency of a particular stop will need to be changed. Problem areas, an area that might have a homeless person there all the time. What would you do in effectively communicating those types of changes to your crew, making sure that they're always aware and up to date of the most current schedules and
Okay.
adhering to them?
So, again, the data that we use from the maintenance portal, Let Us Know in our weekly meetings is what's going to drive the conversation in terms of what the needs are. I think the Let Us Know is going to be really big because that gives us the stuff in real time. So independent of what the driver may be implementing, if something is going on the west side, real time, we know what those things are. So our biggest thing is to look for trends, is to look for those areas that based on our own previous experience, we understand are high traffic areas. So, you know, although it's not a part of the schedule, again, we know that downtown, you have a problem at certain times of the day, holidays, events and things of that nature. So that's built in part into what we propose to, again, make sure that there's a checks and balances system.
Can I ask one more thing about the Let Us Know?
Yes.
Are you currently using this on any other type of project or anything, or is this?
No.
No, not at this point?
Not at this
No.
point, no.
All right, So I'm sure you guys have seen in the past, since you had the contract in the past, there are times when your crew goes out to clean the location and there might be somebody sleeping there, somebody just, who does not want to move out the way, or something's going on. So how do you anticipate on handling those situations where you need to clean the location, but somebody is being uncooperative?
Well, actually, we were very community conscious in terms of referring folks to where they may receive some help. And of course, we'll try to work around him or her. And we've been confronted with that situation before. Matter of fact, somebody called me the other day, thought I still had to buy the shelter on 16th and Main, where someone actually used the shelter as a bathroom. So and of course I passed the number on.
So you all got that complaint.
But it's not a problem. I mean, we train our people to respect everybody, homeless or whatever. And of course, what we like to do too is also make referrals to where maybe they can find some help. I mean, we know we can do that also. So
One thing I want to mention about the medicinal, this is organic in the sense that if there is a data set that you all would like for us to collect, meaning that's a very good example you gave. So maybe that needs to be a selection of there where, okay, so there's a transient person that works, so then we can kind of collect that, and so now we know wherever that site is that we're getting X amount of complaints about homeless people.
Yeah.
So that extends beyond our reach. We can communicate that to whomever, would otherwise facilitate that, but so it does not interfere with the work that we have to do.
I know on Lumberton Road there's a couple of problem areas that the homeless.
Emergency response is a very important component to this contract. How will you ensure that an issue has been resolved within 4 hours?
Okay, so we actually put a 3-hour minimum on that. And so again, that goes back to looking at the maintenance portal. And so what we get is in real time. And so if we get, and if this is a part of the emergency call out, let us know. So what we should see when looking at the two reports is that if we got an emergency call out, we should now see within 3 hours in the maintenance portal that that particular issue has been addressed. So because the drivers actually have tablets in their cars, in their trucks, and this populates real time. So this isn't only going to a central dispatch, but it's going out into the field as well. So if you go back to where they are in the city, so if I'm servicing the west side and I get an emergency call out here, well, within those 3 hours, I know that I need to address whatever that particular issue is. Part of our data collection is utilizing that maintenance portal to make sure that we're comparing the emergency call out with the actual work that has been done.
3 hours is just a maximum. It may get taken care of.
Yeah, and 3 hours is the maximum, within 3 hours. We don't want it to go any past 3 hours.
Can you talk a little bit to what safety equipment and training that are going to be provided to your staff?
So we have a safety plan that we follow, OSHA compliant, and so of course the barriers, the barricades and the cones and things like that is part of what we do when dealing in particularly high traffic areas to make sure that we've established a presence. Also on the trucks, we have the magnetic placards that identify who we are so that they understand when approaching the site, this is particular work that's being done. So. And we have quarterly training. So again, the data that we collect, if there's a need to do something different based on what we've seen in the field, then of course we put that on our agenda. We have weekly meetings and then we have quarterly meetings for those types of things.
I'm kind of going to ask another question to make sure we have time. Maybe you talked about it, but not in detail. Can you explain how many trucks you plan on having in terms of I guess, the number of crews? Did you?
So this is okay.
Now, here's what we plan to do. We plan to have 3 trucks. We have 1 truck that would cover the downtown area twice a day. And of course, the downtown area, we will expand it so that truck covers a little more than just downtown. And the other truck will cover the quadrum daily per day, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have a pressure washing truck that will handle pressure washing, because where the contract is set up, I think there's a quarterly pressure washing requirement. And of course, there may be some other times that we see some areas that may need pressure washing more than 1 time a quarter. And of course, we will pressure wash a number of so many shelters per week that keeps us in line with completing the cycle.
So that this is a kind of a picture of what, on the schedule that we put in the proposal, that's just a picture
Yeah.
of what that would actually look like, breaking
Yeah.
it down.
Right.
By quadrant. So you have those 3 teams, the 3 core teams, and then the pressure
Right.
washing team.
Right.
Okay, so the next question was, describe the hiring process you will use for providing necessary staff for this contract. What qualifications and experience are you looking for?
The team of people that we employ, they've been a part of Eminent Maintenance for a while. And so part of that hiring process, of course, was looking at experience, relevant experience. I think that's important. Looking at references and work history and things of that nature, making sure that we have good quality people that's cut out to do the work. Eminent Maintenance is a family-owned operation, so the good thing about it is, we know our people. We can fire our people too.
Let me piggyback off of that. So it sounds like you have all the people in mind already, and I think I recall seeing all of them listed out in your proposal. Are there any projects or any other type of work that you guys are currently doing that could potentially distract your people from the responsibilities that are involved with this project?
No. So a lot of what we do is seasonal and project-based. And so before, and the timing was beautiful when this particular proposal came up, we had just wrapped up a lot of the projects that we had ongoing, so we have a dedicated staff.
And the staff to this contract would be solely designated to this contract, no outside work or nothing, and the total focus would be the maintenance and trash contract. So it wouldn't be like they'd be pulled off going to some other job or something. This would be the total responsibility.
In the event of inclement weather or staff emergencies, what procedures are in place for completing that mesh work?
So if this team or one person, it's a 2-man crew. So, and that kind of helps if you have one person who is sick, calls out, so you still have that particular area manned so that you're not losing service hours or service to a particular area. Inclement weather, depending on how bad or how inclement weather is, we work in the rain.
In the past, the only thing that stopped us from working was hurricanes, so that pretty much would just give you an idea of how we.
As a matter of fact, we was called out during the hurricane because we had a few trash cans that was flying.
Took off.
Right. So,
Yeah, so we had to go back
right.
and
We have no
secure
problem
that.
working there.
Very good, thank you.
That's all that we had. Do you guys have any other questions? Do you have questions for us?
So, how soon are you all looking to make a decision?
Well, the committee will meet after this meeting, after your presentation. They'll put forth a recommendation. We'll go to PRC on the 3rd. The 18th.
Which is procurement review committee, right?
Right, their procurement review committee, and from there, they'll either recommend or not recommend. to go to the board on the 17th of March.
And so we'll be notified.
After it goes to the procurement review committee, we issue the notice of intent to award.
Okay.
It'll give the ranking, and since this is an RFP, it'll state that, our intent is to negotiate with the first ranked. If we're unsuccessful in achieving what we need to achieve in that negotiation, we'll go down to the second and then the third. Okay?
I got one other question. The units that we proposed on, are all of those in place, or are some of those projected? The number of stops?
And that's a very good question. That's a very good question.
They are not exact figures. The exact figures are lower than what was in there. They are projections to some extent. I don't know that we'll get there within the next year, but over the next few years, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that the projections were, in each proposal, everybody projected on the same numbers.
You're right, yeah.
But it's fine, we could do the amortization and pretty much nail it down to the exact numbers and everything, so
Yeah.
shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
And should we be awarded, or will you guys award us the contract? Is it a possibility for us to get a digital file of where those locations are? So
Yeah,
that we
absolutely.
can flesh out
I
our...
maintain all of that information right now, so absolutely.
Do you have any other questions related to process or, okay, so I have to ask. Okay, all family members?
Yes.
Very bright young woman.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
you did well.
Thank you.
See that proud father
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, that's
we
it.
love the opportunity to partner with you, and again, thank you for...
Yeah.
Guys, have a good evening.